What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the third Pay-Per-Viewpoint predictions podcast from Smark Moment Smack Talk for this week. We are going to be rolling along with our preview for WWE Saturday night's main event happening this Saturday night, surprisingly. I'm Tony Mango, joined as always by Rob DeFelice.
Saturday night, what's the main event?
Saturday, it's main event.
I would like to see
it's not for the Undisputed WWE Championship, I'll tell you that.
I would like to see CM Punk make some kind of a... Yeah, I'm no stranger to collisions on Saturdays. People get so upset, though, when he does stuff like that. I think it's funny.
You're just going to have to see on Twitter, Ray! We have 4 matches on this non-pay-per-view, non-premium live event, special event, broadcast, TV show, not a TV show, whatever you would want to call it. They haven't really settled on what it is. That's just Saturday night's main event. And this is the 39th one of these that they've had. So you pretty much know the score right now. It's going to have an old school flair about it, but less and less so over time, because it's mostly whenever they do Saturday night's main event after a few years, they go, oh my God, we want to make this really old school. And then they go, let's make it a little bit normal. It's the same as what it is. In some ways, this is a better card than what you would normally get. And in some other ways, you can still look at this and go, whatever. But I'll give them credit for this before we rag on some of the stuff. At least it's 4 matches. And there are big names in these 4 matches. They just recently even had booked some of the other Saturday night's main event to be like, this person cuts a promo. Or here are 2 lower mid-card people in a match. Or here's the rematch of a rematch of a rematch, and there's no gimmick to it, or anything along those lines. They've got some big names on here. Now, they sacrificed some of those big names from Backlash, and they're sacrificing some of those big names from Money in the Bank. So take that for what you will, as far as whether it's worth it or not. And they're doing a weird thing with Gunther on Monday Night Raw. So again, they're spreading themselves very thin. And I think if you take Backlash, Saturday night's main event, and Money in the Bank, and you combine them all together into just 2 cards, I think you've got a much better setup. But hey, I'm also from the era that pay-per-views should matter more than TV shows, and WrestleMania and the Big 4 should matter more than the regular pay-per-views, and
Right.
But hey, I'm not the one booking it. If it would be booked by me, then stories would make more sense. So, if you don't trust me at all with that, then check out the Blueprint stuff, because you can see how much I map out that stuff over there. I haven't got a plug for the Blueprint project in a while, but you want to show support on any of those things? Let me know. So these 4 matches are, thankfully, part of this is if it's 4 matches, that means that the 2-hour broadcast that we're going to have is primarily going to be the matches. That's fucking great. Especially when we know that there's going to be so much of these other pay-per-views that are going to be dedicated towards promotional material, or taking 10 fucking minutes out of your Monday Night Raw to talk to a basketball player for no goddamn reason.
That really bothered you, huh?
Oh God, I hated it so much. That was just like move on. I want to fast forward this shit type of moment. Because the people that are watching basketball aren't watching WWE to watch the basketball player on the WWE show. People that watch WWE want to watch the pro wrestling show. They don't want to watch the basketball show. Motherfuckers. Goddamn. Anyway, point being, I'm glad that I'm not going to have to sit through as much when it comes to the commercials and stuff. They haven't announced any kind of a pre-show. I don't know if that means that they're just going to spring it on us or what. But I don't remember them having a pre-show with the other ones, did they?
No.
So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, this is 8 to 10, 4 matches. The 4 matches have the potential to be fun, even if they're in some ways on paper just kind of, you don't need to watch it. And I like pretty much all the people that are involved. There's only one person that I don't like, and that person's a good performer, even if he's a piece of shit. So
Maybe I'm oh yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about.
Who did you think I was talking about? Was I suddenly
I couldn't figure it out,
fuck
and then
you, Damian Priest or something?
Yeah, that's what I thought you were doing. I was like, wait, what do I not know?
No, I'm talking about Logan Paul, obviously.
Logan Paul, yeah, that's
good performer. Put that talent into somebody else that I wouldn't dislike if I met on the street, and yeah, that'd be great. Logan Paul is going up against Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship, and we already know who the next in line is going to be, and it's Gunther, for a match that's happening not at the next pay-per-view, and not on the next episode of Monday Night Raw after Saturday night's main event, but the Raw after Money in the Bank. So I'm already doing the thing as an analyst. I go, okay, well then Jey Uso retains over Logan Paul. Not that I thought that it was going to be anyway, other than that. And then Jey Uso retains over Gunther unless somebody cashes in Money in the Bank. But there's also a chance that Goldberg comes out and screws over Gunther. So basically I'm waiting. What happens with the Jey Uso and Gunther match that either takes Gunther away or takes the title away from Jey? No matter what, Logan Paul is not winning this championship on Saturday night's main event.
Yeah, I'm surprised that I really thought he might be the one to beat Jey, but they're going with it so early that he's no chance in hell.
What do you think is going to end up happening on Raw with Gunther?
Well, they kind of told us that no matter what happens, it's Gunther, and then no matter what happens with Gunther, it's Rollins. And I'm going to guess, unless they've somehow managed to pivot to John, that at some point, Goldberg is going to get the better of Gunther, and then they'll have matches at SummerSlam. But
well, the Gunther thing with Goldberg is only probably having one match, right?
Yeah, no, he's only having one.
And that's, I'm assuming, going to be Night of Champions in Saudi?
Oh, that's right. I was skipping the SummerSlam, but you're right. There's Night of Champions.
Which would mean then that they don't do Goldberg and Cena, which to me, that might not be as good of a match. It won't be as good of a match as Gunther and Goldberg, but it is the bigger match in some ways. So
I would have never thought that.
It's also weird if that's like it's Gunther and Goldberg at Night of Champions when there's no championship.
I would have thought that they would have never done Goldberg and Cena, but now that Cena's a heel, you kind of can, because Goldberg's whole thing is, I like being a superhero to the kids. And this version of Cena is perfect for that. So maybe I would try to do Goldberg, Cena.
It's a shame we can't get Big E.
Yeah.
Goldberg.
At one point, I really thought he was going to do that.
I never really thought that he did, but I was always kind of hoping that they would come back around to it.
Well, remember, like there was a moment in time where he was actually like becoming a world champion and everything.
Yeah. I still just didn't think that Goldberg would end up popping up around the right time frame. Although Goldberg did have a random one-off with Dolph Ziggler, so, stranger things can happen. But I am assuming Night of Champions, Goldberg, Gunther, despite it won't be for the title, but that fucking Night of Champions title, I don't know why they call it that anyway. They could call it almost anything else and it would make more sense. In any fashion, they could have just called it Crown Jewel, yeah. They could have.
No, because they don't have a Night of Champions title.
How do you think they're going to create a Night of Champions title?
Well, no, that's what you said. I was confused. I thought they created yet another new title for Saudi.
Hey, maybe they have the two-week trophy or something to the mix.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do create these random artifacts for Saudi, even though they did say the Crown Jewel Championships would be on the line in Perth. So they're still it'll be Cena against whoever the world champion is.
In a match that will be for the Saudi championship in Australia.
Yes.
God, it's so stupid. They should have just made this one Crown Jewel, Night of Champions. Just do that as Crown Jewel, do the match a little bit earlier, and then later on in the year, the Perth show. Make that Peril in Perth or something.
Peril in Perth. That's not bad, actually.
It's the first thing that came out of my mind. Or
Not
maybe
bad.
that's where you throw Payback in there because they already have the Payback name. Payback in Perth.
I like Super Showdown. They're down under. Just call it Super Showdown.
At least it's not Superstar Spectacle.
But is it equal or greater to WrestleMania?
Where does
that
Superstar
was
Spectacle even rank to you as far as like most disappointing? You're pretending this is a pay-per-view, but it's in front of nobody and it's with a giant Zangier and shit.
Thank God it's one of those things that just is a blip in my mind, with the exception of the fact that we were like, that Guru Raj, not bad. Like, I can't remember his name right now, but the one that wrestled AJ had like the best match of the
Jeet Rama? Was that it?
Yeah, G Rama. I was like, okay, And then there was there was
the girl that Charlotte was like, here, this girl's gonna be something, and then she never showed up again.
Because it was supposed to be Kavita Devi. And then Kavita Devi couldn't do the show, so they got some random independent performer. And it was so weird. It's so weird.
They shouldn't have done that show.
They promised. They had promised They promised them a whole NXT. Like,
well, you might get NXT Europe. We'll talk about that on the hot tags again. Maybe they shouldn't. But Jey Uso and Logan Paul is, it's a thing where it makes sense to be on this pay-per-view / not pay-per-view because Logan Paul is a name. Jey Uso is popular. He's main event Jey Uso. You put a world title match on here. That's cool. At least one belt's on the line. And then Jey Uso gets to beat somebody that means something instead of just having matches on Raw and not really looking all that well in that. So I kind of feel like this is going to be the opener. And then they're going to go to the two matches that don't involve champions and then go back loop around to John Cena.
I think that's fair.
Now, there's a possibility that it might not be, and they might start off with the steel cage match just so that they can have that set up and kind of like the budget for the time of setting up the steel cage. It kind of depends as well. Like, is the steel cage going to be set up in advance and they can just lower it? Or is it that they need to set it up? And do they want to run a commercial in the meantime or something? But those are the two that I'm bouncing around. It's going to be either Jey and Logan Paul or it's a steel cage match.
I could see it being the cage match.
So what is that steel cage match? Well, it's Drew McIntyre against Damian Priest. And nothing's on the line. No number one contendership. No title shots. No titles. Nothing. It's just hey, fuck you, pal. Hey, fuck you, pal. We've been fighting. Let's fight in a steel cage. Steel cage matches are not at all, to me, what they used to be and what WWE wants everybody to pretend like each steel cage match is. Back in the day, decades ago, steel cage match, oh my god, this is a feud ender. This is crazy. What are they going to do? They're inside of a steel cage. By the time you get into the Royal Rumble, wow, out of all the things I was going to say, the Attitude Era, not even remotely close to the Royal Rumble. My brain was just kind of like, Royal Rumble's a thing. By the time you get to the Attitude Era, the steel cage match already doesn't matter as much because you got Hell in a Cell. And when you throw elimination chambers out there and you throw regular street fights that mean more and everything, the steel cage match to me is kind of a bland stipulation. It's one of those things where you dangle keys in front of people and you make it seem like it's more important than it really is because it seems like it's a big deal. Oh my god, they're in a steel cage. Realistically, a steel cage match means a regular match where it's harder to see it.
Yeah. And I pitched this to you. I was like, well, maybe they do a blue bar cage for like it's Saturday night's main event. Yeah.
I'd love to see that because the blue bar was pretty fun, but apparently it's brutal on their bodies.
It's fucking iron. Like, it's like, And it's all just so like Hogan could climb out. It's very weird. But apparently that was the Punjabi prison.
What do you mean?
It's like the first cage of the Punjabi prison is just a painted blue bar cage.
Really? It wasn't actually the bamboo?
The outer cage was.
Huh.
The inner cage was just a painted blue bar cage.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I learned that in a Maven video actually with Jinder Mahal. But no, I'd like to see it, but I think it takes away from the blood feud aspect of Damian and Drew, who have done a good job of turning a few mishaps earlier in the year into a pretty decent feud. And I would put Drew over in this and kind of get him back towards, okay, the non-Cena champion, you might be challenging that guy soon.
Again, it depends a lot on what they want to do with the draft. If they do have plans to do a draft and they're going to switch people around, Drew could find himself over on the same brand as Jey Uso. Now, Jey Uso might not even be champion by then, but you could do Drew McIntyre versus John Cena. And I think that match makes more sense than Damian Priest against John Cena. I like Damian Priest, and I think that it would be cool if he got his way back into the world title picture again, and I'd be down for him to be champion again. But there's only so many matches that John Cena can have this year. And when I look at the list of people, like, he's got to have a match with Punk. He crossed off Randy Orton already, so that's good. I'm assuming he's going to have another match with Cody, whether that's a tag team match and they do the whole stupid Travis Scott thing, or if it's going to be, Cody wants the title back or something. I would rather see Drew McIntyre versus John Cena than Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Why do I keep wanting to say that? Because opposite of Damian Priest and Cena, I would rather see Drew and Cena. Now, we're already crossing off the R-Truth thing, so there aren't too many people that I really would want to see Cena up against. Logan Paul's kind of one of them. I thought that maybe that would work, but not in this dynamic. And
yeah, that's the problem. Is you keep having to say, not in this dynamic. You know, I wanted to see John Cena against Bron Breakker.
Right.
Not in the current dynamics they have.
The only thing I can think of maybe is that maybe Bron is the last person that beats Cena when Cena's already turned face again. That's a possibility.
It could be.
Ruthless aggression, that could kind of work with Bron Breakker. Do that in December. I don't know. That all depends on who Cena wants as his last opponent too. Maybe his last opponent, he's like, I really, really want to have that one final match, and it's against Cruz del Toro, for all we know. I highly doubt it, by the way. That's the first thing that came to my mind. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest, though, either one could win the steel cage match, and it ultimately really doesn't matter unless they plan on doing something with it, which right now, there isn't anything that screams out to me, because Jacob Fatu is holding the United States title. Priest could have another match with Fatu out of this. Drew, I don't think will. I don't think Priest really will either, though. And then again, the draft cap, it's back into the whole thing again, where it's like, do you switch the rosters around? And it ends up being like Damian Priest then is on the same brand as Jey Uso. Jey Uso drops the belt to Seth Rollins, and now it's Damian Priest against Seth Rollins, or anything along those lines. We don't know if they have any plans at all for this stuff, or if they're just going, we don't care, we need to finish this Priest and McIntyre feud. Flip a coin, basically. I think I'm going to go with Priest wins.
He is a babyface. Maybe it's Priest wins. But I'll say McIntyre. Because it's, like you said, it's a coin flip.
Yeah. Now, tag team match is also on this card. It is Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker against CM Punk and Sami Zayn. Doesn't matter who wins. No titles, no title shots, any of that. Same deal. It's just a match for the sake of a match. It's a TV match, but it's got big names, so that's why they're throwing it on there. Not my favorite setup, but it is what it is. Rollins and Breakker need to win this match.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. I mean, they're the new angle. I'm going to skip to the end here and just talk about the same thing that you guys keep saying, which is potentially Sami Zayn turning, and I don't see it. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, there was that weird segment the night after Mania where he just stared at Jey Uso eating for like 5 minutes. But I don't want to see Sami turn. I think that would be so stupid.
I don't think this is going to happen, but it's something that's on my mind. There is a chance that Punk and Sami lose this tag match and Sami turns on Punk. More so, what I think could happen is they lose this tag match, they're frustrated, and then on the Raw in between this and Money in the Bank, Rollins has some kind of a segment with Sami, and he's like, listen, Sami, you are not following my edict, and this is why you're failing. Do you think teaming up with CM Punk was any fucking benefit for you? Because it wasn't. You guys lost. Get on board with this group, and we can finally start doing things. And then I think that there's a good chance that Sami Zayn wins Money in the Bank, and then it becomes like, maybe it's a tease, maybe it's not, of the whole like, oh, you know what? I beat Gunther, and if Gunther beats Jay, then I can cash in on Gunther, and I proved that I could beat him already. And then he cashes in on Jay and wins. They keep saying that the end goal, though, is like Heyman saying the end goal is the titles going on Seth Rollins. Yet it's very clear that the end goal is it's Bron Breakker more than anything. And even still, you can't split them up that early. So if it did go to Sami, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either in a lot of ways.
It's really weird how like they've normalized basically telling you the quiet part out loud and just telling you the booking and just being like, no, it's like the plan is Rollins. Rollins will be in the main event of WrestleMania 42. And that's just the plan. And I believe that. I also believe he'll be losing to Breakker. Because I do think that they can split that in 1 year. You know, you don't need to drive. It doesn't need to be Bloodline. Right? Like,
if they do want to split them by Mania, they can. As long as they do enough in the meantime where it matters.
Right. And I think they can and they will. I don't want to see Sami join because even though I know there's been a whole lot of talk about age and ageism, it's like, can we make new stars? It's the same argument I'm going to make, spoilers, for why Roxanne should win Money in the Bank. Can we just go with like talent that might actually be around in 10 years?
I think that there's a chance for Julia too, by the way.
She could theoretically be around 10 years. Asuka was.
Yeah. In any fashion, though, with this tag match at Saturday night's main event, if Punk and Zayn win, I'm going to be very surprised.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
Although
the match, they factor Roman back into all this?
I don't know. There was a commercial that ran earlier today during NXT where it was like one of those pre-taped whatever things, and it's Roman being like, "This is my WWE every day" or something like that, and it was like, all right, well, no, not really. You're on one show, and you're only on that show like once every 2 months, so I don't think so. I think that Roman's probably not factoring in until after, maybe even after Night of Champions, to be honest.
Like we're just building towards SummerSlam?
Pretty much. Just we'll come back around to Roman then. Maybe it is Night of Champions, though. Maybe they have something planned for that.
Well, they got to do Roman Breaker. And then maybe Roman Cena, or does Roman stay central to this Seth storyline?
Or is he on the opposite brand? And it ends up being, we just want to separate those two.
I think that'd be terrible. The whole point is literally Roman got betrayed again. They got to get around to just having that match with Roman and Rollins.
Maybe it's Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Seth is already champion, and it's title match at Night of Champions or something. Could be the case.
Yeah, but then I think Roman's just... then I would fear Roman just winning.
That could be the case, too. Well, despite how another champion is on this card, he's not defending the championship. John Cena is going up against R-Truth, and for some reason, it's just not for the belt. And I do not understand why, because, let's put it this way. John Cena is probably not going to lose a match to R-Truth. And if he beats R-Truth, then why didn't you just make it for the title? Is it just to make us go, oh, I wonder if R-Truth is going to win because it's non-title? Which is a little bit weird to me. Especially because I don't think they're going to do 2 matches out of this either. So, isn't it just going to be John Cena beats the hell out of him?
With the Cena thing has been weird.
It's not
everything. And I'm okay with saying that. And I feel like a lot of people are going to go, oh, you always wanted to see Cena turn heel. Now it's not good. Yeah, because we know he's leaving. This is literally a get your flowers run. And he's not able to get his flowers.
Also, the people that do that kind of stuff infuriate the hell out of me. It's like, yes, we did want John Cena to turn heel. But anything that somebody wants, no matter what it is, they want that expecting it to be good. Like, oh, John Cena turned heel and now you guys are upset about it. Because it's not good. If they would have told us that this is how this would have been a heel turn, then we would have gone, oh, okay, it's a good thing that they didn't. That's why we have the what if thing where we go, you know, hey, what if somebody would have fucking told Chris Benoit to not go back to his house that day? Things would have been turning out differently. Oh, what if somebody told me that the Cody Rhodes thing would end up working out a little bit better? Maybe I'd be okay with him losing at 39. There's a lot of variety when it comes to that. The what if machine pulls the lever and it ends up being, I want thing to be good. If thing bad, I do not like that thing was thing. That's basic logic. But people have lost all fucking common sense and all. I still think that it's better that Cena is a heel right now in some ways than if he was a babyface, just because it's a little bit more interesting that we can see what they're going to do, but it's just not good. So you show me footage of this 10, 15 years ago and you go, this is what this is going to be. Are you excited for it? No. And then maybe I shut up about wanting him to turn heel, you know?
Right. And for what it's worth, I think it's going to be funny. I think R-Truth's going to hit him with his own moves. But I ultimately think Cena's winning. And if he does the thing again where he goes, I want competition, then I'm just expecting Goldberg. At which point I will just expect Goldberg to come out and hit him. Because that's how they weirdly closed Backlash, where he gets on the mic and he's like, I don't need your cheers, I want competition. And then you send him R-Truth. What? Like, what's going on?
Who's next? R-Truth. Not the guy who's giving his who's next. I do like that they're actually doing this, though. Yeah, they could have easily just been like, we've been making this R-Truth John Cena joke for all these years, and we're not going to come back around to it. I think that's what Vince would do. Vince wouldn't have this on a pay-per-view. He would be like, maybe there's a backstage segment, and that's it.
Yeah, like Bradshaw, I was listening to his podcast, and he even said, he's like, John loves Ron, and we all do, and I kind of wish he was beating him for the belt just because that's how much we love Ron, you know? So everybody loves R-Truth. He's going to get his moment no matter what.
It is a shame it's not for the title. He wouldn't win, but at least he could say he had another title match, you know? Because everybody just goes, hey, Capital Punishment, remember that? Like, I know.
Yeah.
It's like 28 years ago. But
fuck.
Feels like it was. I don't remember when it was.
It was
2000.
Like 14 years ago. You cut that time in half.
Well, John Cena either squashes R-Truth, or for some reason they needed this to be a non-title match so R-Truth can get like a roll up and then John Cena beats him up afterward. But I would lean much more towards John Cena just beats him, and just for some fucking reason they were like, belt's not on the line. That's a question that like I really wish that somebody would have the gall and the fucking stones to ask and be like, Triple H, why was that a non-title match? And see what his answer is. But instead they'll go, this is Gary Anderson from the Chicago Tribune. What is it about Chicago that's so great that you want to keep coming back to Chicago? And Triple H
I do hate.
You know, we're great on the a lot of people bought a lot of tickets, and this is great
It's
area.
what we do.
This is such a great spot for us to run shows, and we're definitely coming back at some point because this is great. And they were great for us. The venue's great. The people are great. The city's great. It's all great. You're great. Fuck you. Why am I watching this thing?
Yeah. I mean,
thank you, Mr. Triple H, sir. You people know who you are. You fucking talk like that. Where's this taking place? Tampa?
Tampa.
Hello, Mr. Triple H. There's no post show for this.
But thankfully,
That's
because like look at the Backlash post show. I don't even know if you watched that, but that was a mess.
No, I saw the Cena clip for the R-Truth thing, and that was it.
No, that was a mess. So Jacob Fatu comes out.
That's like, probably the best part. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Literally,
that's it.
Literally, the first question's like, so how do you feel about being champion or something like that? And then they cut right to Triple H coming out, and he gets like 2 questions in, and then John Cena just goes, I'm talking now, and does the bit with R-Truth. It was very weird, and I'm like, okay, maybe just don't do them. If you don't have anything crazy lined up, don't do them.
That way you gotta pat the Tampa commission of whatever on the back, and you gotta have Triple H say, this is the highest gate of this, and we got all this money for the stock people. It's gotta be that. It has to be. We want a news report afterward of how much money you made, more than anything.
Yeah, so lame.
It's much better when you get people that are just asking stupid questions, or like that one dude that was like, hey, EO, do you have any tag team partners in mind? And she's like, I'm a part of Damage Control, you fucking moron.
Yeah, that EO Taylor Swift question will always haunt me.
Taylor Swift.
Because like fucking, she literally just goes, "What, are you crazy?" Like fucking people like
Sorry, EO, I meant to ask you, how would you like to come back to Boston?
Why is that your go-to voice?
I don't know. I just pictured some fucking nerd.
Jesus Christ.
I'm wearing glasses right now, and I pushed up my glasses when I did this to just be like, hello, sir. Bemidji Times.
Actually, like...
Yeah. Well, I am not particularly excited about Saturday night's main event, but I'll be honest with this. A big factor of why I'm not particularly excited about this is because of the fact that I'm going to have to do coverage for TNA the night before, and I'm going to have to watch 2 pay-per-views the night after. If this was just a show by itself, on paper, it makes sense as featured attractions. I'll give them credit for that. You do have John Cena. You do have CM Punk. You do have Seth Rollins. You do have a world title match that includes Logan Paul and a very popular person in Jey Uso. You got a steel cage in there. A bunch of people are going to go, oh, steel cage is great. And you got good people in the mix like Bron Breakker and Sami Zayn. You got something fun with R-Truth. Like, it makes sense. Drew McIntyre is fucking great. Damian Priest is cool. So, yeah, this is not going to be my end of the year. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe all 4 of these matches are fucking great. And then I end up being like, this was a surprise best event of the whole year. I highly doubt it.
That'd be very crazy.
I'll take these 4 matches over some of the other matches that we've had on a 5-match card on pay-per-views. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm not crazy excited. Like, it'll be cool to see Punk wrestle. It'll be cool to see what Cena and Truth do, because I'll be honest, as much as I'm not liking the run, every match does have this flair of like,
the last
you'll
time.
never see it again, so you better enjoy it. And I'm not, if you've ever listened to us talk on this podcast, I'm a very deep, introspective person like that anyway. So when you're telling me it's the last time and I need to savor it, I typically go out of my way to do so.
Here's the last talking point I wanted to bring up. You're talking about last time you're going to see things and things you're not going to see. There aren't any women's matches on this show.
Yet.
Oh, you think they're going to add one?
I think it's very weird that there are no women's matches.
Because I'm assuming that they're just not adding any. Because 4 matches on a 2-hour show is already a lot.
I do think, and let me be clear here, I do think it is important to say, hey, you can have a show without women's matches. You can have a show without men's matches. You know, I don't think that there needs to be this like forced, let me find something to do. But they do have enough women and they do have enough storylines to where it's like, yeah, you can do, you know, Becky versus Lara. You can do...
When they didn't announce that, that's where I was like, okay, well, then I don't think that they are going to announce one. Because that felt like the most obvious one for me.
Well, I also think it's like, we have Money in the Bank in a week. And we're trying to figure out what to do for Money in the Bank, you know? Because that card is light right now. It's just the ladder matches.
Just the ladder matches, and there's a potential for a tag match with Cena, according to some rumors.
Oh, that's interesting.
But that too is like,
see how that plays out.
They could have, in a different world, they would have pulled, say, the steel cage match, and this would have been the Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton match that they did on SmackDown. Right. And then I'd be like, I'm not interested in a rematch of this, and why is this happening on the card? And, you know, so I would like this better than if they did that. But I'm sure some people are going to be like really upset that there's no women's match on here. And for that matter, I don't think that WWE did that as spite for anybody that would be like, you know, that proves that they hate the women's division. I don't think that they booked that in mind. I think that they went, shit, we wanted these matches and, well, fuck it. That's basically it.
Yeah, I think like I said, you don't need the feeling forced to do it just to have one is something I think is a problem in terms of expectations. You know?
Well, there is a chance that they do announce something else in there. We won't know even by the next podcast that we do, because next podcast we're going to do is going to be the hot tags on Friday afternoon. And if they do announce anything, it'll probably be Friday night on SmackDown. But that's at the last minute thing too. So I'm assuming these 4 matches are pretty set. If by some chance they do announce something before the hot tags, we will of course talk about that on hot tags. But in the meantime, make sure that you let us know what you think about all this stuff. Drop a comment below. Make sure that you chat it up on the Discord. Make sure that you support us on all the different things that you can see on the Marketplace on the screen right now on YouTube. If you're audio only, it's Patreon, YouTube channel membership. Click the join button for that. And if you're listening to this a little bit in advance because you're a part of the ad block forgiveness tier, then awesome. Thank you for that. Or if you're part of the Darkcast tier, you get access, same thing. If you are listening to this before or after that is the case, and you waited until it became public, well, if you wanted to get it a little bit in advance, that's how you could have gotten it. Keep in mind Redbubble and TeePublic for the merchandise options if you want to pick up any of that stuff, and make sure that you check out all the stuff on the link tree that you can find at amangotree.com for all my different social media accounts that you could be following if you want to support me on any of those. And follow Rob over there at Dude Felice.
Yep, follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. Check out my work on Fightful. Check out everything on Fightful during these big weekends. And yeah, we will see you when we see you.
That's going to be in the hot tags next, but make sure that you go back and check out the Double or Nothing pay-per-view predictions. Make sure you check out the Battleground pay-per-view predictions as well. And also make sure that you set up your email alerts for when we go live for the post shows immediately following these shows. We'll at least be doing one for Saturday night's main event and then a combo one for the stuff on Sunday. Unless for some reason I'm like sick or something. I don't know. But that's the game plan, at least for now. And we will see you next up in the hot tags. So adios, everybody. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you then. This has been another Smark Out moment. And we're being counted out.